All right, everybody, I'm sure I've complained about this on camera before, but I think somebody told me, oh, well, your crop is too wet. That big ball, and that big ball. If it doesn't get too bad, sometimes it'll clear itself out. Sometimes it won't. This is getting to the point where it's not gonna, it's wrapped in there pretty good. And if I don't clear it out, these wheels will actually stop spinning on the ground and just scoot, and that's not good. And I have not had the time to try and come up with a shield or anything else to try and prevent this. But if the crop really is too wet, then my question is, do we really say the crop is too wet, or we just call that a design flaw or a quality issue? Because the whole point of a tedder is to spread out a wet crop so it can dry, right? So does my tedder just stink? Or I don't know. I don't know, because I've tried every different PTO, RPM, and ground speed. Look at this. You can even see, I don't know if you can see it, but that wheel is actually slightly dust colored green from how jam-packed it was in there. Look at this. Look at that. I mean, come on. Farm equipment shouldn't have ponytails. Oh, excuse me a second. I banged my knee earlier. Ooh. But I want to show you something if I can get this one dug out with fairly easily. And I do try and keep these periodically cleaned out so I don't have issues. But as you will see in just a minute here, it didn't work for me. This is the, for those of you wondering, this is the exact same field where I broke the tedder tine arms that got jammed into the baler. And what I'm about to show you just happened on like the outside round of this field when I was just getting started. So we're gonna try and limp this piece of equipment through the rest of the field and then determine how we're gonna get it out of here and get it home, because I'm right next to a highway and I don't want to have a breakdown or an issue in the middle of the road. There we go. All right, there we go. All clear, right? Except broke the center straight out of the wheel. So yeah, wonder if we need that wheel. Might try and just take that one off, see if the other tandem can carry the weight down the road or not. But oh, the funs and the joys. We're gonna try and limp through the last little bit of this tedding with that wheel, just in case taking it off causes operational problems. We're gonna try and get through it because it's got to be repaired anyway. So, see if I can get this done, and I'll check back with you. Watch that wheel close, you'll see the crop come back across the top of it. That's when it wraps around the wheel. And yes, I know this field's kind of ugly. The cutter didn't get it all cut because it was laying down on me. Again, I tried every different speed combination I could think of, and I just did not have the time or energy to care about cutting it all going one direction. Just got to get through this cutting and we'll worry about it on the next one. Yeah, it is clearing. It's clearing itself back out, but it doesn't always. It'll get wrapped up around that wheel down over there. Well, as you can see, the cars go by here pretty quick on that little highway. So I really don't want to take this down the road with that being broken out of there like that, because I don't trust that little washer to keep it on there. All it's got to do is bend just enough and that'll come right off. My question is, with this being a walking tandem, if I remove this wheel, is it just going to sit there and drag the ground? Or will the tandem on the other side keep this thing transportable just to get it back to the farm where I can actually get it in the shop? Because Like the last breakdown, this is a field that is 20 miles from the farm. I have no other mode of transportation other than this rig, and any help will be a while away. So my only other option is to see if this will come off. If it doesn't work, well, still kind of in the same boat, and we'll have to unfold it, leave it on the side of the field, and then trailer it out of here when we bale the hay. So I guess I'm gonna try and pop this thing off here one way or another and just see how it looks, I guess. Hey, victory number one. This is coming off pretty easy. This the nut. That's good, I guess. Good news is that bearing looks like it's still okay. Now I guess the real question is, do I try and pull it off there and watch it crash down, or do I drive forward and let it pop off like I did on the duals on my tractor? Let me debate on that for a second. Alright, well, since I'm on that hill and I don't, excuse that, since I'm on this hill and I don't want this thing to be tempted to try and tip over, we're gonna go with the pushing the clutch and roll forward and see what happens method here. This one over here on the outside. Wobbling. Apparently weebles wobbles, but they don't fall down. What's going on? Come on, work your way off. There it goes, there it goes, there it goes. It's almost there. Oh, come on, I thought you were almost there. Go look and see if that moved at all, because I gotta tell you, if it's not moving at all, I'm kind of tempted to put that nut back on and road it out of here if it don't want to come off at all. Yeah, that thing hasn't moved. Oh, I see. It's working the whole bearing off the shaft, not just the wheel trying to come out. But if the wheel is staying with the bearing, even though it shouldn't be, maybe we can get her down the road nice and easy. I'm gonna put that nut back on. All right, well, I got that nut back on, and for clarity, this field's 20 miles from my farm. However, there's a buddy's place 4 miles from here. So if I can get it to go 4 miles, at least maybe I can get a better plan and not be in a field right here. Maybe he'll have some tools that would help out. I don't know. I don't even know if he's home. But it sure doesn't look like that wants to come off there, so we're gonna try and get it out of here. Well, we got off the highway. That field was only a half mile down the highway, so now I'm going down country road. I don't feel bad now. I'm not worried about cars coming up behind me, or if that thing does come off. And she's hanging in there. Honestly, a little bit of wobble, but if I hadn't noticed it broke in the field, I'd be going down the road. I'd have no idea that was even an issue. So we'll get back to this other field, formulate a plan, try and get this thing down the rest of the road. Well, the sun's getting ready to go down, but we did make it back to the main field that we do in the area here. And here's a real good shot of how bad this broke out the center. I mean, it is trailed nice going down the road for the 4 miles, so still haven't decided if I'm going to try and tote this thing home like this, or maybe ratchet strap the axle to where it tries to take the pressure off. I'm not really sure. We'll figure that out in the morning when we come check this hay and figure out which one of the 2 rakes we're going to use. I haven't decided if it's dry enough to V-rake it, or if I should run the rotary basket on it. We want to get it dry as fast as we can so we can bail it up with the good weekend weather we've got. But at the same time, the rotary rake's going to take twice as long since it's only a single basket. So it's getting fairly dry, but it's not there yet. Feels like it's fairly close. I'm just afraid V-rake put too much of it in one row for the finishing the product off and trapping moisture in the row, which wouldn't be very good. Leaning towards the rotary, but we'll make that decision a little bit later here. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the shop. Got the wheel that broke on the tedder off. As you can see, we've got a nice clean break. This is the center. These two ridges line up with these two pieces of metal in here, about like that. I do have a spare for this machine. Actually, there's two different tire sizes. I have one spare of each, but they are air filled. And a year or two ago, I had all these tires foam filled because we were fighting flat tires constantly. So I think before I put the spare back on here, I think what I would like to try and do is I'd like to try and weld this back in, especially because the majority of my fields are very close to the home farm here. Hopefully we can make this work to where we don't have to redo the foam fill. I think the foam filling was like 50 or 60 bucks per little tire like this, and a new assembly, rim and tire, new, it's something like 170 bucks just for the rim and tire. So, you know, you're $200, $250 all in to get one foam filled like this and not fight the flats. So I'm gonna give it a try. One of these bearings, this one is pretty shot. I can hear it grinding. The other side, it's not terrible, but I can feel it kind of clicking its way through there. It's not a smooth motion. I do have some spares, so I'm not too worried about torching those when I go to weld this in. I think I would prefer to leave them in as I weld this to make sure that this piece holds its shape and doesn't expand with the heat or get deformed. Hopefully that will work, and then we can always press these out and press new ones in afterwards. So I'm gonna get set up. We're gonna wire wheel all this stuff, clean it all up, and then see if our little shop generator is sufficient to run the welder for what we need here. And I'll make a separate video on the whole electrical debacle around this place and kind of explain everything to you, because I would love to hear if any of you have any information on how to overcome some of these obstacles. But anyway, we're gonna get set up and clean this thing up here. All right, keep in mind I have no welding training other than, well, high school shop class 20 some odd years ago. But I think that's pretty good for a generator with a little 120 volt, the old Forney Easy Weld. See, where's it at here? Here you go. I think it works pretty good. Maybe not a stack of dimes, but I think that's pretty doggone good. I'm very pleased with that. I'm not saying this will hold together either, and I'm not saying I got it perfectly centered. The wheel might have a little wobble to it. We're going to find out. We're going to use this next here at the home farm, so we're not going on the road or anything. But I'm curious to see if I just salvage a foam tire or if we will end up having to swap this out for a pneumatic one. But and you could probably see a bit of fire coming out of there, because why not make it exciting, right? Actually, what we were doing is there's so much heat in here that we were burning the grease out of those bearings. So that grease on the inside was catching on fire and leaking out. Actually, if I can flip this up with one hand, there you go. You can see some of that hot grease that was leaking out the bottom. And then here's the backside welds. Probably not as good as the other side, but that's where I started, so I had to get my groove. But we'll let that cool off for a while. We'll get it remounted, and then maybe we'll try and figure out some sort of shield or fender for this tire to avoid the cause of what blew this out in the first place, with all that hay wrapping around the back there. So I'll do some thinking on that. We'll let this cool down, and I'll check back with you. All right, so that wheel cooled off. I got to change the bearings in it because I definitely smoked them when I welded that up. But while it was cooling off, took the opportunity to run to the farm store. I had seen these on the shelf the other day, and I think they're going to work for that plugging up of the hay that goes around that tire, which ended up destroying that rim. I think this will work. Let's see. Here's what I got. Just a small fender. I've cut out and drilled some angle iron because the camera was dead. I'll go to the other side. Fender's a little bit bigger than what I need, but the main pinch point for that hay is it comes back up over this tire, and then when it goes to wrap back around, it gets caught on this grease zerk right here. So if I can get this in there, about like that. Like I said, it's a little bit bigger than what it needs to be, but at the same time, it covers up that grease zerk too. So my hope is that anything that does get brought back up around there or stuck can find a way back out when it gets caught by other crop or something, or airflow or whatever, so it doesn't have something to hook it. So next step now is to weld the brackets onto the fenders. And I know this might be, we'll see. The tethers like this bounce an incredible amount in the field. So this may not be the strong enough connection. We may have to add some angle iron later on and stiffen this whole thing up. But for right now, I really want to get it welded up, put on, so the next field we get into, we can test this out and see if it works the way I think it does. And then we can always add some brackets or whatever and get it painted up and all that stuff after. So that's what we're doing. We're gonna weld those on. Got to drill and tap part of the walking tandems on the frame so these mount up properly. And then change the bearings in that tire and put it back on. And this thing will be ready to go back to the field. So let's get them welded. Not too shabby. Come on down here and take a look at this. Like I said, I'm no pro, but I'm very, very pleased with that. All right, forgot to turn the camera on as I welded the second one, but here's what we got. I think it's pretty good. I did go ahead and weld this seam along here. And if you're a fabricator, you can tell me if that's a good idea, bad idea. Maybe it's irrelevant, I don't know. But after I welded it, the heat was starting to distort this metal on the back plane here. And it was starting to bow away from that a little bit. With all the jumping and bouncing this will do in the field, I figured, well, why not? Let's throw a little weld on there. Maybe it'll keep it from trying to bow away from the bracket. I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe it has no effect. I don't really know. But it only took me a second, so might as well do it. I'm going to try and drill and tap the holes in the frame now. We're going to mount this with two 3/8 standard thread bolts with washer and lock nut. So I've got to drill holes in the frame, break out the tap set, and see if we can get those tapped out to accept bolts. Then we'll mount them up, see what we got. 5/16 is the drill bit size we need. And, oh, okay. Well, that's 3/4. What am I doing? Help me keep my head on straight here, folks. Right here. 3/8, 16. This is the one we want. So it says to drill 5/16 hole, I'm guessing, because this says 3/8 NC on there. So 3/8 NC, this would be 3/8 NF. So 3/8 NC, we need a 5/16 drill bit. We'll pop a couple 5/16 holes in here, and then we'll try and tap them. Beautiful. As you can see, I've got limited range of motion. Cool thing with this kit is it comes with a ratchet adapter. That should be all the way through. Well, that was easy. Didn't expect that. I have press, but I'm trying to avoid getting it all set up for just 2 bearings. Let's see if we can pop these in there without having to go with hydraulic press. Is that how you're supposed to do it? No. You run the risk of damaging the bearing, but I think I got it pretty good. Ow. Or you just damage your finger in the process. Ah. Wash it for the back. simple. Alright, there's that. All right, folks, well, there we go. We've got our wheel welded. We've got it remounted. We created some fenders. Be curious to see how well this works. With the weather we're gonna have, I was not sure if we would even need the tedder here for these fields, but I think I'm gonna pick at least one. Even if we don't need it, I'm gonna pick a field and ted it out anyway. Maybe the field we're gonna end up round bailing. I just want to see how it works. I want to see how these hold up. If they hold up, great. I am a little concerned those mounting bolts. That metal's not that thick, so there's only about 3 or 4 threads that I was able to tap in there, but they seem pretty solid. If they hold up for a while, we'll try and paint them black or green or something, make them look a little more factory. It looks a little funny with that wheel not even close to filling it, but like I said, there's that pinch point. This might be able to keep that hay out of there. So these tines would drag the hay back. It would go this way. It would drag the hay this way. It would catch on this tire and ride it up and over. And then it would get caught over here. So my hope and thought is that if it hits this shield, it will either just fall down, or if it does ride up and over, it will clear those pinch points and fall in front, and then just be behind the tedder. So pretty simple setup, not much modification really. I'm very, very, very excited to see if this prevents future issues. So if you like this, let me know. Drop me a comment. Let me know what I could have done better. Let me know what you liked about it. If you got questions just in general, shoot them over. We like talking to you. But always do us a favor here, folks, if you could. Click that like, subscribe button. Smash those for us. It really helps us out. We have not yet begun to reap the rewards of the YouTube universe yet. So tell your friends, tell your folks, bring everyone, come one, come all. I wish you a wonderful day, and God bless each and every one of you. We'll catch you on the next one.